We have confirmation that someone is about to sell over 40,000 Bitcoin. That is a lot of money, and this is legitimate. We know this is going to happen because they essentially told us, and they've already started to sell very strategically. We're going to talk about what that means, and if you haven't done this already, how to become a whole coiner, looking at some different scenarios, how you can do this a little bit more aggressively, or basically be able to buy and then get all your money back and then still hold a full Bitcoin, and what that would look like, because we just hit a record for whole coin accounts. So we're going to talk about that here today. If you don't mind, please hit the subscribe button underneath the video. Turn on that bell notification so you know right when I post future videos as well. It's also linked onto the Patreon in case you want to know exactly when I buy and sell different cryptos. This is the best day to sign up because it is the first of the month, so you get the most bang for your buck. Now, I also want to say, I realize that I talk about Bitcoin a lot on this channel. Part of that is because we are going through a bear market. I plan on talking about other cryptos a lot more during the bull market. But yesterday I did a full video talking about 10 different cryptos, and I was talking with another YouTuber that's made over $1 million in crypto and has been in crypto since 2017, so over half a decade. And I want to hear from you what cryptos you want me to talk about more. I know some people talk about them in the comment section every video, but I want to cover the ones that a lot of people want me to cover. So let me know in the comment section if we get a lot of comments on specific ones, which there's some that I'm guessing will get a lot of comments. I'm definitely more likely to at least include it in future videos. Now, that's enough talking. Let's look at the market. Bitcoin's at 28,500, which is up 2.1% in the last 24 hours. It is looking pretty good. The whole market's up 2%, and the whole equities market is also up. Risk on assets in general are up. We had a 16% up quarter for the NASDAQ, which is the highest quarter return that we've seen since 2020. And probably, if you exclude that, way further back than that, probably back to 2009 or something like that, because obviously we had a lot of volatility with COVID. Now, the U.S. government sold 9,861 Bitcoin linked to Silk Road on March 14. They have a remaining 41,490 Bitcoin that they're going to sell in 4 batches in 2023. Yet the price is still going up. This is coming from Bitcoin Archive. And if we look back on March 14, it was a really interesting time to look at when they were selling. And when we look at the March 14 chart, this is kind of crazy when they started selling. It looks very strategic. We had several updates. This is right after the banking collapse started to happen. If you remember, we touched down to 19.5 and started racing up. We went up to 26,500. And then that day is when they sold 9,500 Bitcoin, or what was that? Yeah, right around there, 9,800 Bitcoin. And then we went back down to 24,000, under 24,000. And a lot of people were wondering, was this just a fake out? It wasn't, but it was because the government was selling 10,000 Bitcoin essentially and adding a lot of sell pressure, but it didn't matter. Right after that, we continued to move up, and now they still have a lot of dry powder to sell, or they have a lot of Bitcoin to sell. And I would not be surprised if this happened whenever we have big runs, if there's a little bit of a pullback, if they announce that they sold 10,000 more Bitcoin, or if it was very strategic, right? We already know there's kind of a war against crypto, especially with what Elizabeth Warren came out with recently. The SEC continues to go after crypto, and I think this will probably continue. And now they have some Bitcoin to essentially sell and push down the price. Now, you might be asking how they got this Bitcoin. A lot of the time they can get Bitcoin just like this. This is from Silk Road, but they can get confiscated Bitcoin. Someone does a crime, gets Bitcoin from it, and then they will hold and then eventually sell. Now, some people realize that Bitcoin is still a great asset to hold, especially because we're going to continue to inflate the US dollar or deflate our currency value. People realize that the governments are getting more and more controlling, right? Just the other day, the US government spent our tax dollars to go and ban people that talk about finances from using the rocket emoji and stock emoji and money emoji, and that's what we're spending our money on. So obviously there's some mismanagement. I think we all know that in government, and people are getting Bitcoin to have an alternative that will not be controlled by any government entity. They can't print more. You can see we hit a new record. We hit, let's see right here, we had 1 million different accounts have 1 Bitcoin or more. And we also are doing that right at such a pivotal time. After months of waiting, we've finally gotten a bullish crossover of the short-term holder cost basis above long-term holder cost basis. Historically, this has marked confirmation of the start of a multi-year Bitcoin bull run. So this is historically very bullish. We've seen a lot of other indicators saying that we are out of the bear market. So if you made it, congrats. If you haven't bought enough Bitcoin, we're going to go through a couple different ways that you can become a whole coiner here. And these are just 2 different scenarios. I'm going to try to keep it short because I can pull up charts and talk for hours. But here we have Bitcoin's price basically going over the next 10, 11 years. And this might be a little bit more bearish than some people think. I know some people think we're going to hit $1 million Bitcoin by 2030. Here we're going to be a little bit more cautious. Still, for a lot of people, they would say this is way too bullish too. So you have to take into account your own assumptions. But we're going to say after the bear market, we have a 2.5x the first year, and then just 1.5x, 1.5x, and then we go back down and fall down about 60%. And then we do the same thing. So basically, the next cycle top we would say is 157,000, and we're going to say that you have money to invest. And instead of investing that same amount, we're going to say you realize that Bitcoin is going to go up, and it's going to be harder and harder to buy in. So you're going to invest the most this year. You're going to buy the most Bitcoin, and then you're going to start buying less and less. You're going to buy 10% less each year. So in the final year, 11 years from now, you're only buying about 3,700. That would get you up to 1 full Bitcoin. So that's awesome, right? You could get there now. A lot of people don't have $12,000, which I realize, but no one said it was going to be easy to get 1 full Bitcoin, especially if it does move up in price pretty aggressively, right? You can't put in $5 every week or something like that and become a whole coiner. It's a hard journey, and that's why that's a goal for a lot of people. And then this is a different scenario where you can actually invest more upfront if you have more money, and I think it's a good scenario if you have the extra money. Of course, you want to stay diversified and that kind of thing. You have to actually want to invest in a risk asset like Bitcoin, but you can go a little bit more aggressive. So instead of 12,000, if you invested 20, and what you can do is after a few years, you can start taking profits out, and you could still be a whole coiner. So this scenario, you put 20,000 in, you put a little bit less in the next year because you realize that Bitcoin's 2.5 times the price, and then a little bit less. And then 5 years from now, you don't put anything in, and then you can start taking money out. You can take out 5,000, then 10,000, then 15, and in the end, the sum is actually 0. So you're net 0. You've taken all the money out. You're basically, as they say, playing with house money. So all the Bitcoin that you have is basically free of charge. I mean, there was some cost of just putting in here versus another investment, but you would have 1.02 Bitcoin, and actually you would have spent $0 on your Bitcoin. You would have gotten all the value back out, so you'd have 1.02, and it would be worth about $900,000. Keep in mind that the US dollar will be worth a lot less by 12 years from now, 11 years from now. But this is another scenario. Now, we could go through these a lot. If you want me to do more videos like this, let me know. I've done a lot of videos like this before on how to become a whole coiner or how to DCA into Bitcoin. But I love doing these. This is just something that I used to do in my free time before I even had a YouTube channel. So the US government is going to continue to sell Bitcoin as well, but keep in mind, someone selling 40,000 Bitcoin is not going to stop Bitcoin from going where it's going to go. Bitcoin is going to continue to be the most decentralized currency, one of the only assets that you can actually put your money into and have the keys to your own future, right? No one can take it away from you if you store it in the right way. And people will realize that. People will keep on buying because the governments will keep on printing and mismanaging. Let me know your thoughts, though, underneath the video. Thank you so much for watching. Hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.